right, welcome to a new episode of our Deal Winners Ask Me Anything. Today we have really cool guests, Rachel and Chris. They have done tons of deals. They were actually telling me about their first couple of deals, and we're gonna be asking some in-depth questions about those deals. As deal finders and deal makers, I find the first few deals they are kind of the most memorable. And then actually, I think we probably learned the most from it because, especially in the beginning, when you're driving that first deal, like we, first of all, we don't know how the deal mechanics go. So we learn the most. And then also, to a certain extent, we are kind of emotionally attached to the deals. So the first couple of deals are, I guess, the most memorable, and we have a lot of stories here. So um, I heard a little bit story about Rachel and Chris's first deal, and we want to share this on the stage with you too. Now, before that, we have a really awesome market update that we prepare for you. It's just going to be a very short one, and feel free to ask questions or make any comments you have. And as a housekeeping piece, if you're watching this live stream on different social media platforms that we're broadcasting this to, make sure you register for the webinar. And when this event is over, you're going to automatically receive an email to get the recording of this event. So make sure you do that. Okay, let's get started. A quick intro about Real Estate IQ. We have one of our core products, right? We are a community of deal finders and deal winners. And one of our core product is the off-market leads, where we offer the freshest data that we mine straight from the courthouse and county websites. And we bring that to you in a very easy to use format, so you can contact these motivated sellers directly. We also offer events and additional services for those who need more support in getting your business started. And if you're curious about how to work with us, go ahead and schedule a one-on-one consultation and learn more about what we do. We also want to get to know your business more and what you're trying to accomplish. Our mission is to help one more person to win in our community. So that includes you, that includes the deals that you're trying to make and the homeowner you're trying to help. We also started putting deals under contract to bring the deals to you. So we have 3 deals under contract this month. One is already sold, and the other one is in pending status. So the remaining deal is a subject to deal in Rockwall, and you can basically purchase it at less than 10% entry fee and basically assume the mortgage. So if you're kind of in the area, or if you're actively investing in the Rockwall area, I saw the photos. It's basically ready for rent or ready for somebody to move in. And if you want to get kind of the first-hand information on these deals as soon as we got them under contract, we actually got a pipeline in work right now. Scan this QR code or comment your email on any platform that you're watching this from, and we'll add you to our buyers list. Okay, just another glimpse of what the deals look like. So what's happening with the current market today? All right, so I find that topic very interesting. We're always staying on top of it with our associates doing research on this. So this chart is the home price index. And we have kind of 2 chart here. The black line is the home price index. You can see it's been trending up. And then the orange color is the annual change. So how much has it been changed? So as you can see, it has always been positive. So despite a little bit of kind of that dip in the early of the year, we have been seeing positive gain in home prices for basically more than the past 10 years now. And the recent drop in interest rate, we're following the interest rate a lot. The Fed just dropped the interest rate last week by 50 points, or 0.5%. and folks are on the market, not just the real estate market, but all over the stock market. Folks are quite excited. Now, it turns out, I guess the drop in the interest rate has been kind of priced into the stock market. The market has been kind of anticipating that change. So we were seeing, not that much rally in the stock market. And we're also seeing that, according to CoreLogic, the interest rate has been offset by the rising housing cost, and the affordability is still an issue for housing. So, in terms of the highest potential for home price increases, these are the 5 top metro area. We've been sharing this for the past couple of weeks now. We have Tampa, St. Pete area. We call them the Tampa Bay area, Nashville area, Hartford area in Connecticut, San Diego, and number 5 is Boston, Cambridge. Now, this is a very interesting chart. We're charting the number of active listings by year. So the top 3 lines on the top are pre-pandemic, 2018, 19, 2017. And the ones that we have the pretty much a box, the red box on, is our trend of this year. And if you kind of start looking at the other ones, those are the lines during the pandemic. And what we're seeing here is, while 2024, we're still seeing a high number of active listings, right? We're seeing the number of deals that are being closed has been coming down, and the market is not as active as during the COVID years. They're not flying off the shelf because of the interest rate. But when it comes to active listings, the housing inventory, so to speak, on the market, we're still way below the pre-COVID timeframe. So a couple of stories that we can tell here. It's been trending up, right? Houses are actually sitting on the market for longer in recent days. We see an average of 53 days on market before homes are sold. And in the South, homes are taking 9 more days to sell compared to last year. And out West is taking 7 more days to sell. In fact, anecdotally, we're hearing a lot of houses are sitting on the market a lot longer. And also the rental properties are sitting on the market a bit longer. So these are the top 5 metros in the highest rise in active listings. Interestingly, Tampa and San Diego are hitting both lists. So Tampa is getting almost double, right? 90% increase of active listings year over year. And San Diego, if you recall our previous chart for top 5 metro with price increases, they are also kind of sitting on the market for longer. Okay, may have to do with the rise in pricing here. Next, we are ready to introduce our keynote speakers, Rachel and Chris. So let me pull up their introduction here. So Rachel and Chris, we have known them. Oops. Hi, Rachel and Chris. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
And Rachel and Chris, they have been a client of Real Estate IQ for quite a few years now, and we have spoken in the past, actually, and I have sit in through your classes as well. And they started becoming full-time real estate investors in 2018 when they first moved to Houston. Before that, they were part-time investors. And one thing that strikes me the most, I think, Rachel and Chris, is how you're using real estate investment as a career to shape it along with your lifestyle. So it's not a 9-to-5 W-2 job that just takes up a lot of your time and your mental space. You're able to work that into your life so you can spend more time with your family. And I find that it doesn't take a lot of time to do deals. So it's you can kind of treat it as not a full time. You can call it a full time gig because we're thinking about the deals and working on the deals all the time. But it doesn't take an 8 hour a day kind of a time commitment per se. Maybe there are times it takes more. It takes more time, but at the same time, you're in charge of how much time you spend, and you're in charge of managing your deals. And if you even get one, lucrative deal, that is gonna, you know, that can turn into kind of half of a year's salary for a W-2 job. And so it's lucrative. It fits your lifestyle. You have much more flexibility in your life. And let's talk more about it. Maybe we can start with Rachel and Chris. How you guys got started in real estate investing, and your life too. Chris and Rachel, you both have a fascinating story. So maybe we can use this stage to share that with the audience.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having us. And to tell you a little bit about us, I am the only daughter of 3 children. I have 2 older brothers, and my mom was a single mom, brought us up. So we weren't rich, we weren't poor either. But we lived a humble life, and to this day, I try and raise our boys to somewhat be the same way. And Chris has a completely different story of his upbringing, so I'll let him share a little bit.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. I'm from San Antonio, and we grew up poor, right? We grew up in government housing. I remember not having enough to eat, no lights, no water, things like that. Unfortunately, growing up, you couldn't understand why you lived the life you lived. But now you look back and it's a blessing in disguise, right? Just like a lot of other things that happen in our life. Sometimes we don't see how it's going to benefit you until later in the future. And that's just how we grew up, and we want to make sure that we share our experiences and our past lives with others, because there's no better avenue than real estate, we feel.
Yeah, and I know that you guys are treating this business with your heart first, right? Your heart centered in your approach, and I find that a breath of fresh air, amongst folks that are in real estate. Obviously, we love working with, and we tend to attract folks that come into real estate investment with the right purpose and the kind of right mentality. Obviously, it's great to get deals and make money, but also we want to help people. And so maybe you can tell us some stories of the homeowners that you have helped, and some stories behind these deals.
Sure.
Absolutely. So when we first started, one of our mentors asked us, what is the reason that you want to get into real estate investing? And she asked us to find our why. And whenever we coach new students, we follow that. We always want to understand why people are doing it and make sure that they're doing it for their right reasons, right? We all have reasons. And our why was to be present in our children's lives. And to this day, sometimes we get away from it, right? I mean, it's to have money is really important. We definitely do understand that, but we always come back to the root of things. Why do we start? And we always try and focus on that and how we could improve our lives with teaching our children how to value things worth money, how to value time, how to value everything. So kind of just wanted to throw that out there. That's one of the main things that we do in our coaching, is that we try and help people find their why, because that's what's going to help keep you motivated, right? Real estate can be hard. And sometimes when you knock on a million doors and you get the door shut on you, and it's okay. you have to have motivation to go back tomorrow and be consistent and continue to do it. And that's one of the things. If you always come back to your why, you're always going to have that motivation, because that's the core of you and why you started this.
Yeah, I think it's the resilience, right? The ability to bounce back, because I think, setbacks are inevitable in entrepreneurship, especially in kind of the sales and marketing side, right, of the real estate investment piece. It's we get, rejection is part of the game. And if we want people to like us, it's great. It's actually a really great asset in the sales side. But at the same time, if we kind of let the emotions kind of get over us, it can put us down, at least temporarily. And I think kind of that we're paying more attention to the why, and how to keep our team motivated too, as well, because there are so many ways, there are so many reasons that drives people, psychologically. It could be monetary, but it's extrinsic, right? Just outside, and kind of internally, what's driving you is a key in terms of kind of keeping it going, especially when time gets tough. A lot of people just quit.
Yes.
Right.
You see a lot of people quitting in this industry and in this community. And there are folks that stick around, and they tend to be the folks that persevere, and they have the ability to bounce back.
And I think
so tell us about your coaching, by the way, Chris, and by the way, feel free to kind of add your comments.
I was just going to add to that. Yes, there's a lot of people who decide not to pursue or not to continue right after a few months or so. But I think what happens with a lot of people, and I mean, we're guilty of it too. We're not perfect. And, we have our days also where like, man, why couldn't we close that deal, or what happens, but we all have to remember where we're at in our lives at that certain time. Some people have to do 10, 20, 30 deals a month, and some are able to do 1 or 2 a month and sustain. They're fine. Some people are doing it part-time. Some are doing it full-time. And what's really important to us to remember, and what we coach, is we have to understand and drill it in your heads, because we've had to do it, is everyone has a different background, a different story, different resources, right? Some are able to come into this business and have to grind from the bottom, your door knocking, your cold calls, your messaging, and be out there. Some are able just to throw money at it, right? Say, hey, I built a pretty good career for myself, and I don't want to do all the legwork per se, right? But I have $100,000 to $300,000. Let me put money into whatever investment it is. And I think that's sometimes what's hard for everyone to realize is, hey, we all have different backgrounds, different resources when we come into this business. And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to compare yourself to others, but we really have to sit down and say, hey, well, why did I get into this, right? Why did I really get into real estate? And follow that.
Yeah. So let's switch gear a little bit. We'd love to hear about your first deal, or your first 2 deals, and how you guys are using bandit signs to get this deal. I thought that was a fascinating story that we haven't heard yet.
Okay, so we'll start with our first deal. Our first deal was actually door knocking. So our first deal came from door knocking, and we used Real Estate IQ list to pull the foreclosure list. And we didn't know everything, right? We just said, we need to get out there and we'll figure it out as we go. And I know a lot of people are intimidated to do that. You feel you have to know everything before you get out there. But in all honesty, I don't think you're ever going to know everything until you start doing it. So that's exactly what we did. We just started door knocking, went to, I don't even remember how many doors we knocked on. But finally we reached one. He was a very nice gentleman. He was a Spanish speaker. And his property was going into foreclosure. He knew he was in foreclosure because he had not been working for about a year. Mm-hmm. He was in construction, and he had got hurt at work. So he couldn't work. I mean, he obviously needs his body to work, and he was hurt at that point in time. So there was nothing he could do. He was slowly getting back to working, but not consistently. So he didn't really have anyone here to help him with this. He didn't know how to read his mail. He didn't know how to correspond with the mortgage company via email. He tried calling, but he was already in foreclosure. So unfortunately, they didn't really want to talk to him. So even if they had Spanish speakers, they weren't speaking to him. So it was really hard for him to get a hold of anyone. So when we knocked on his door, surprisingly, we were a breath of fresh air to him. We were his solution. And he didn't know how we were going to help him, and we didn't know how we were going to help him either. But we were there and we were willing to help. So we scheduled an appointment with him. I mean, we talked to him. We asked him for paperwork that first day when we were there right in front of him. We told him all about us and who we were. And he felt comfortable enough to trust us with that paperwork, which was great. So we kind of looked over his paperwork and scheduled another appointment with him to actually sit down with him and give him his options. So we went over everything.
A big thing was he couldn't read English, right? And this is unfortunate. Unfortunately, a lot of our homeowners is they're receiving mail in English, but they only speak Spanish. So whenever we were able to sit down, we were able to look through all the paperwork. And of course, he's like, I can't read this. I don't know what it's saying, but he knows he's losing it, right? And that's where we're able to help him a ton as well.
Right. So we sat down with him and we told him what we were going to do, which first we were going to talk to the mortgage company with his permission, of course, and he agreed. So we started we got him under contract and everything, and we started the process for him to try and get him a loan modification. Because of course, in the end, we want to help them if at all possible. So we started the process and we hadn't heard from the mortgage company. We had been calling and everything, and they hadn't responded to us. So we were ready to move forward and go ahead and close. And it was a Monday. Auction was on Tuesday. So we were going to go ahead and send in the reinstatement. We had already waited long enough. We were trying to hold out till the very end. And when we called just to get our wiring instructions, they told us you qualified for a loan modification. And we were super excited for him. And
we got all the details. We spent another 20, 30 minutes on the phone getting all the information of what he needed to do, where to send money, when and how. It was, yeah. And
so when we called him, he was super excited about it. And I mean, to this day, he calls us periodically. He sends us referrals for people that want to buy houses, for people that want to sell houses, for people that are in the same situation. They're going into foreclosure or divorces, whatever the case may be. He always remembers us. So we're eternally grateful for that. And he's eternally grateful for us helping him as well. And it's funny because most people listening right now are like, well, that's not really a deal, right? But we truly feel that helping this one gentleman led us to our next deal, which was indeed a deal. And that one did come from Bandit Signs. And that was an amazing story as well. It was a husband and wife couple who were calling on behalf of, we spoke to the gentleman more, the husband. So he was calling us on behalf of his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law was already ill. She had first signs of dementia, and they knew they wanted her to move in with them, but she didn't want to let go of her home because it was her home. All her memories were there. Whatever memories she still had were at that house. It had some water damage. Yep. It had been vacant because she had been in and out of the hospital and she had been with them. So it had been vacant for quite some time, and it had a really bad water leak.
Ceilings were falling down, and it affected, kitchen area. Just nobody caught it in time, right? It wasn't until they went to go visit the house again that they caught it. And unfortunately, by then the damage had been done.
Right. So he called us. We went and spoke with him and his wife, and thankfully they liked us. I mean, that's really what it came down to. They liked us. They had called a few other investors, and they had got our information from a bandit sign, which we had placed bandit signs in certain neighborhoods according to what we got on Real Estate IQ. We saw several foreclosures in this neighborhood, in this area. So we went ahead and put up bandit signs in that area. And yes, thankfully they did call us because of our bandit signs. And we spent, I don't know how much that initial conversation was. I mean, maybe an hour and a half for sure.
A couple of hours.
And he said, okay, well, you passed our test, but now you need to meet with my mother-in-law because, I mean, we want her to make this final decision. She's still able to make this decision, and we want her to be the one to make the decision. So that was a little bit difficult. He said she has her good days, she has her bad days. So let's kind of feel things out and let's get her on one of her good days because we want her to make sure she's making the right decision.
Yeah.
So we kind of waited for him to give us a call and let us know. And we worked things around her good day. And we went in there, spoke to her, told her what our intentions were. And we communicated with her several times. I mean, it didn't just take one time because she changed her mind at some time. And then she came back and said, no, I want to do it. And she changed her mind again. And then she came back. And it took us a little bit of time, but we got that one done. And in the end, I mean, it's so funny because he invited us to
a car show
and a barbecue. He was famous for his smoking briskets. So he invited us. We took the whole family out there. His mother-in-law was out there. She remembered us. And I mean, it was so amazing to know that by us purchasing the home, they were going to have money to get her the medical attention she was going to need.
And he did say that after speaking to other investors did offer him a little more than we did. But the reason he chose us was because we were honest with them. Not only did we show him the comps in the area, we looked at the repairs, and he said, you know what? Your numbers are matching my numbers. That's how I know you're not trying to pull a fast one on me. Right. And we always remember that. And we truly feel in our hearts, if you do things the honest way, you'll get the deals. Now, not all owners want that. Not all sellers, just want to build a rapport. Most just want numbers and you're done. But for those who want the rapport, you don't know, right? You don't know up front. So you sit down, get to learn their situation individually, not assume, right? You know the situation. And that's really how you can kind of break down those barriers, those walls, I call it, right? Just listening to them.
Yeah, listening. So how long did this the second deal, how long did it take to actually, say from first contact to your keys in hand, for example? You said a lot of back and forth.
Probably about a month or so before we just follow up. And
okay.
It was, it wasn't right away. So follow up is key.
Yeah.
It took the longest just because she did keep on changing her mind. And again, she had good days and she had bad days, but she was conscious of what was going on and she wanted to make the right decision. And in closing, during closing time, our title company said, hey, when she comes in, she's going to need to know exactly what it is that she's doing. And we need to see that in her face. And we need to know that she knows what she's doing because of what we were dealing with. So, right. It all worked out. She knew exactly what she was doing. And we were grateful to her. And we were grateful to be able to offer her family a solution for the future.
Yeah. And I love both stories because you are not just going after the deal. You're actually building relationship with the sellers. And I really love that approach because a lot of times it's the referrals and the relationship, the long-term relationship that you build that's going to pay off not just this particular transaction, but future transactions moving forward. And you can always go back, chat with them, like get testimonials and all that for future marketing. The benefits is kind of endless. Now we have questions on the door knocking, and I think especially for the pre-foreclosure, what would be your approach? And we hear this a lot now. Like we want to explain to the homeowners there are different options. So what are some options that you would go over with the owner when you actually get to talk to them?
I think first off, when it comes to door knocking, there's no perfect way to do it. You can take all the classes, you can take, you can go in with scripts, you can go in with all the training behind you. But when that homeowner sees you and you acknowledge them, right? Hey, Steve, I'm Chris. How are you? Right. Some of them will say, yeah, what do you want? Get out of here. We have some stories for you. But being genuine up front really makes a huge difference. Remember, you're catching them at a bad time in their lives, right? They're emotional, they're angry, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to trust. But when we come to them, say, hey, we understand what you're going through, right? Some of us have had personal experiences like that. Some of us have helped many other people. So that way we're able to come into the deal, right, into the situation and make them feel at ease. So upfront, it's all about you and your confidence. And we always say, remember, the homeowner doesn't know that you don't know, if that makes sense. Whether you have training or not, you're there as the expert. So when you present yourself as the expert, you're standing tall, you're confident. Hey, I'm here to help you out, right? What are the options? Sometimes we don't know up front until we really sit down.
Some of the obvious options that we offer is sometimes they haven't thought, hey, can you borrow against your 401k? Some people don't think about that right away. They don't realize, hey, I'm in a bind. Maybe I can. So that's one of the obvious ones. Sometimes we remind them to look at their past history. I mean, maybe they've had things that their other jobs that they've left 401ks behind that maybe they could roll over and borrow against, or maybe their family members have passed and left them properties or things that they didn't even know were of value. Maybe they could sell something that they hadn't thought of.
We even had one person sell a couple of vehicles, right? It was a hard conversation to have, but I said, look, these are nice vehicles. Maybe you can trade them in, maybe you can sell them for something a little less. And they were, no, I want the status, right? I want a certain mark, make, model. And after spending some time with them, they said, you know what, to save my family, save my house, it's worth it for me to drive something a little less expensive, right? Whatever that model is. And they ended up selling trading in their vehicles, or selling one of them and trading the other one in for something, that they could afford, which at the end, she said, I never would have thought of it, right? I never knew how much this one payment was taking up, right, as far as income. And those are just the little things. And I know some people say, hey, it's common sense, people should know this. But really, once you're in that situation, I'm sure we've all been through really stressful situations where we can't think clearly. And it might be common sense to us, well, just sell your car. But for them, it's a little difficult to think clearly sometimes. And that's what we're there for. We're really there to give them options, whether it's to sell their house, whether it's to take it sub 2, right? Take over payments. I mean, we would like for people to stay in their house if they're able to. Worst case scenario, if they have to sell, that's what we're there for.
Right. And we always offer them the benefits of doing it, right? There's always a plus to a situation, although it's hard to see it. There's always a pro to it. So I think one of the biggest things that we always hear is, all of my memories are at this house. Everything that I've ever worked for is here. How is it that I'm going to let go of this? Well, yes, there's a lot of good memories, but there's also some bad memories. I mean, you're in the situation that you're in because there are some bad memories there. And I think we just present the situation in the best light we possibly can and provide them with another solution of how to maybe move in with a family member or how to get an apartment. And if you let this process keep on going, those options are no longer going to be available to you. If you let a foreclosure happen, you're going to ruin your credit. You're going to be in a worse situation. And then even if you keep this house for another month, or even if you keep it for another 2 months, the memories that you're going to create are actually horrible memories, as opposed to moving somewhere else and moving forward and starting new memories and starting a brand new life full of hope. So those are
I love
some
that.
of the options that we give. I mean, there are obviously financial solutions that we think of that maybe they haven't thought of. But there's also just helping them realize that there's kind of a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah. So I think I heard you say, there are assets they can potentially tap into, to either borrow against or kind of liquidate
Yes.
to keep the house if they do want to keep the house. They can, maybe it's family members, maybe somebody left, maybe a family member left them something. It could be a loan modification, just kind of restructuring the loan term. That's how they can keep the house. And then the other side is, okay, you maybe you don't want to keep the house and you do want to sell it. In which case, it's either cash, which would be usually discounted, or you can take over their mortgage. And I think that's a lot of the cases. There's kind of the reinstatement of the loan itself, and then kind of working on the paperwork to buy the house.
Right. Some people don't want. Some people aren't about the memories. They don't care. They just want to see how much money they're going to make.
Yeah.
Right. And some people really just are so tired of it. Just give me the options. What do I need to do? Okay, we can take over the payments. Okay, great. Am I going to get anything? Yes, no. Some of them were, I mean, if you try to give them $1,000, $1,500, whether it's a deal or not, just, you mean if there's not a lot of, meat on the bone, as they call it. If you can just give them something, most are like, hey, you know what? I didn't expect anything, but thank you. Some are say, hey, this is how much I want. Realistically, a lot of the times it's not possible. They've already lived in that house for a year, 2 years. There goes all your equity. Those are conversations that we have to have with them. But I can tell you, and we can tell you from experience, once you give them those solutions or those outs, they sleep better. And we know that because we have actually heard them say that, right? Oh, we're so much more at ease. Now we know what we're going to do in the next week or two. We know what we have to do, whether it's packing up, whether it's doing this, doing that. And you just put them at ease. So yes, all those different scenarios and solutions for them, some work for certain ones and some work for others.
And I think it's just getting to know the people and building that trust and building that rapport with them to have a better understanding of what it is that they want and what it is that has to happen. Sometimes it's unrealistic what they want, but speaking with them, having that empathy and helping them understand why it's not possible is key.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're not just, so it sounds to me that your approach is actually more holistic. It's looking at their financial situation and seeing, based on this particular financial problem that they have, what else is in there, right? It's you can't really fix it unless you kind of know the big picture of what that looks like. And perhaps there's a lot of, and this has always been on my mind, is that there is a lot of financial habits that kind of put them in this situation in the first place, and kind of educating them to maybe rethink on where the habit, and maybe even dig into where the habit came from, right? So they can kind of let that go and release it, is to me also a really good long-term solution to help the homeowner.
Right. We definitely try and do that. Sometimes we're successful at helping them establish new habits, and sometimes we're not. I mean, we recall one situation where we actually went ahead and bought a property, and we went ahead and paid her money. She was having students, her kids, some of them were going off to college, some of them were moving out. Everyone was doing something different with their life. And it was great. It just seemed like a brand new start, right? It was a really big house. She was going to need to downsize. So we gave her money and we're like, oh, how exciting. You're going to put it into a new house and so forth. And she's like, no, we're going on vacation.
They went on vacation.
Right. Which is fine. But we were just thinking, wow, this would be a really good down payment for a brand new house. But
it's funny also, different, you said earlier, different people live different lifestyles, right? No one's here to judge, but we can recall many occasions where, man, they have really nice fancy things. Like, man, we're investors and we can't even afford that. Right? But it's just different priorities, right? And coming from where we come from, our background, how we grew up, our childhood, we prioritize our priorities. Hey, we have bills, we have kids, we have this, so let's pay that first. And if there's anything extra, then we can go out and have nice dinners or whatnot. And some people just aren't like that. And there's no right or wrong way. Some people, are those of, hey, I have the money now, I'm going to spend it. I may not live till, tomorrow. I may not even see tomorrow. But our thinking is, hey, well, if you have money, I mean, do you really want to be poor all your life? Right? Let's start making those changes. Like I said, everyone leads their own life. But whenever we go to these houses, sometimes you're able to see where the money goes. And then truly, sometimes it's unfortunately, people have passed away. It's people have gotten hurt. I mean, just life happens to everyone. That's what we have to understand coming into the situation is don't judge. Life happens. And some people really do need help.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Let's talk about the bandit signs. So I keep hearing that different cities have ordinances, right? That bans the bandit signs. Now there are ways to get around it too. So what's your approach on the bandit signs, or is there any specific neighborhood or city that that you have found that works?
Yeah. So with that, it's really hit or miss, and that it's changing all the time. There are different little subdivisions around Houston, around Katy, Sugarland that don't like bandit signs, right? It all depends on when you put them out also. So we have a really funny story. Whenever we started, putting out our bandit signs, we even have a picture of it. So Rachel would drive and I'd be in the passenger side and she's like, go, get out, almost pushing me out, get out of the car, go put up the signs, right? So we would do it late at night, I should say, typically 10, 11, 12 at night, because less traffic, right? Some days I wasn't sure if she liked me or not. She'd just push me out. Say, are you trying to get rid of me or what are you trying to do? But we would, put out our signs and we heard a clink, clank, clank, all kinds of noise outside. And what the heck happened? So we pulled over and realized that our hubcap fell off our car. It was just the funniest thing. We actually posted that. But it was funny because these are the memories that you're creating, right? It's funny stories you can tell. But those signs they're really effective in different areas. Now, I will say from experience, if you're going to put up signs, do not put your Google Voice number on there, nor do you want to put your personal number. Why, you ask? Good question. The little cities around, there's a Copperfield out here. There's little other cities out here that don't like bandit signs, no matter if they're on posts or poles or if they're on the ground, and they will find you. These people will know where you live, where you're at, who you are. They will literally find everything about you, right? They'll find out all that stuff about you. So don't use that. Use other numbers that you're able to get from whether it's different apps, different other businesses. And the bandit signs, a couple of different sizes. You have your smaller bandit signs, your larger 18 by 24s. We usually write on the front and the back of it and post them in different neighborhoods along the streets, right, of different main roads, so that way we can get the most exposure possible.
Main roads. And okay, and thank you for the voicemail or the Google Voice number tip. How would you go? Like, it's like Ring Central numbers. Is that something that you would use?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ring Central. There's CallRail. There's other apps that you can do. Put those numbers, because those you can recycle, right? You can use for later, or you can just delete them altogether and keep moving forward. Because I'm telling you, once they find out about you, then they start keeping an eye on you.
We have okay. And what do you write on the bandit sign? We have a question here.
It really depends. It depends on what kind of marketing we're doing at the time or what we want.
So we try to stick to the normal, what you probably see out there. We buy houses, cash, close fast. We buy houses, that's it. We buy houses, maybe one side in English, one side in Spanish. Depending on whether you're bilingual or not, or if you have partners that speak Spanish, you can definitely do that as well.
We would recommend that you do some in Spanish also, even if you don't know Spanish, like she said, partner with somebody who speaks Spanish, because a lot of these people who speak Spanish, Latino, those communities, remember, those guys are also looking for houses to buy, right? Not only are they looking to sell some, but they're also looking to buy some.
And yes, we buy houses as is.
Yes. Yeah, we want people to know once they deal with us that they don't have to do anything to those houses, right? They can literally sell it in any condition that it's in. Now, the better, the uglier, the better is what I say. If I go in and I'm afraid to go in, that's the house I want to buy, because we buy it at a cheaper price. And if the seller especially doesn't want to do the work, they understand the money that has to go into these deals. So it's better for us. But yes, we buy houses. We even put that we sell houses too, right? I mean, banner signs can be used for pretty much any marketing.
We sell houses. Okay, fantastic. Now, what are your top 3 ways for sourcing deals?
That's a good question. We still do old school postcards, right? You have to understand that not everyone likes the messaging, the calls, or anything like that, right? They don't like it, especially the older generation. Some of those people just don't know how to use cell phones still.
Yeah.
Some people don't even like, online, send me we're going to send you DocuSign. Well, what's that? I don't want that. Come to my house and come see me in person, right? So postcards are still one of our main sources. We also, of course, we do cold calling, right? We have cold calling that definitely help. And a couple of other ones, when you're able to, driving for dollars really does help. A lot of us are always on the road for work. Some of you work for yourselves and you have to go your door-to-door sales, your something. It doesn't take but a minute or so just to take down an address and look it up later, look it up at that time. So
I think we don't necessarily have like our top 3. We think every type of marketing helps. I think it's just about being consistent, doing it over and over and over, and doing as much of it as you can. Like Chris said at the beginning, though, some people can afford a lot of marketing. Some people can't afford a lot of marketing. So it kind of depends on you and what you're capable of doing. And if not, some good old door knocking helps too.
Yeah.
I mean, just put those hours in Monday through Friday, maybe around 4:30 p.m. till about sundown, or during the weekends, whatever time you have available. That is amazing too. And it doesn't cost that much money.
It's really important to be, like she said, consistent, right? So if you're going to go door knocking, maybe 4:30 to sundown, maybe that time isn't working. So maybe you try from 10 a.m. to 12. Remember, sometimes some of these people in foreclosure don't have jobs. They're not working, right? Something has happened, and some of them are still working. They just, life has happened. But we have found people Monday through Sunday. It doesn't matter which day they're home. It's just you have to knock on more doors. If you have a little more money, then of course you can start your VAs, right? Virtual assistants. You can start messaging, cold calling, emails. There's really no right or wrong answer to that question. It just depends on the resources that you have at that time.
So let's say it's door knocking. What would you kind of this is a logistics question. Like, what kind of gear, like what do you bring with you when you do door knocking?
It's funny because we just did this
this past Thursday.
You need like
at our meetup.
At our meetup. Yeah. So we like to bring door hanger.
Let's tell them how we start from the very beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
So what we do is we get a list, right? We get the list of, and depending on which area has the most. So let's say Katie has 20 of them, right? 30 or 40, whatever that number is. We'll start looking at the list and we'll start scrubbing the list. I will tell you from experience that the foreclosure is really how we got our practice in, right?
Yeah, you kind of can't mess it up, right? If you totally bomb a conversation with somebody and after that they never want to see you again, well, it's okay, because next month you're going to have a new list.
Yeah. Right.
Or with you guys, probably by the next day, you'll have more people added to that list. So it's a great resource. It's a great list to start with, to start your door knocking, to just even talk to people about taking over their house or about buying their house or even helping them with solutions. Mm-hmm. It's a great list to start with. And yeah, when we door knock, go ahead and continue.
Yeah,
we
believe it's the most forgiving foreclosure, the most forgiving list, because you can mess it up all you want this month. Next month's a whole batch of new people. Now it could be the same people because they've stopped it for some reason or something has happened. So just keep that in mind. So, but to answer your question, what we do is we get a list and we start putting the houses that we're going to go to. You have Google Maps, you have Waze, there's different apps that you can use and say, hey, I want to do this whole route. So if there's 20 in the area, we start off with 20. We do 20 addresses in there, and it'll, through the routes, it'll tell us, okay, this is the quickest way to get to all of them and finish up sooner, right? Mm-hmm. And what we do is start early in the morning. Maybe we'll go have breakfast early in the morning at 8 o'clock and maybe start at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. The reason we don't go too early is because some people like to hang out Friday evenings or go hang out, go party, go do something, and some sleep in a bit, right? So we want to kind of catch them in a good mood, if there really is a good mood in the situation. So let them sleep in. But yeah, by 9 o'clock, 9:30, we're knocking on doors. We put in the app exactly the addresses that we want to hit up. When we go, yes, we do take business cards, postcards, door hangers, right? I want them to know that we're there. We do Post-its also, right? Say, hey, we literally, so our door hangers, I mean, you can put them to anything. Hey, we buy houses, we stop foreclosures, whatever you want. Even in the door hanger, try to slip it inside the door if you can. For business cards, the same thing, right? If I can get someone breathing, then I'm knocking on the door and then handing it to them in person. And that's really how we do it. So we just literally go down the list, every single one. We want to make sure we're leaving something, because some of the deals that we have gotten are from, hey, you came to my house, now you're calling me to follow up, right? Or, hey, I'm calling you because you left this on my door. Thanks for taking the time to actually come see me, right? If we don't get you right now, we're leaving something, and then we're calling you, right? Same day, next day, say, hey, John, did you get my card? Who are you? Hey, I left that card. Remember, it's so-and-so. Oh, yeah, I remember. And some literally just call, hey, you came by. Thanks for taking the time. Let's talk. And that's how we're able to get some leads from that.
I have encountered a situation where, let's say we skip trace them, but they are wrong numbers. Mm-hmm. And so there's no way to kind of reach them on phone number or text, what would you recommend to do in that case?
Well, it depends on you and how many other foreclosures. There are times when, if we don't have all the data up front, we'll start with the ones that we have more data for, right? And those, because the time is of the essence here. We have to keep moving. If we go to a house and maybe they don't even have, maybe they've moved out, then we're talking to neighbors.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember John from next door? Oh, yeah. They moved out, or here's his number, because neighbors talk to one another in most neighborhoods, and someone has their contact.
Yeah.
So it's really good to start that, even though you're terrified. Just go to the door.
And I think one of the questions that came up was, where do we get this list? We honestly subscribe to Real Estate IQ, and that's usually where we start. We map out what area we want to go to. It's really easy to filter it. So if we want to go to, I don't know, if we want to stay in Katy, or if we want to go to Houston, or if we just put in whatever zip code that we're interested in and kind of go from there. And then from there we see, okay, so which ones have they been paying for the longest amount of time? Which one might have the most equity, and so forth. So that's how we get started.
And two, sometimes it depends on what we have planned for the day. We have something scheduled with the kids in a certain area. Okay, well, let's go hit up that one area, right? Like I said, we do this because we want more time with the family, with the kids. Okay, well, let's go to that area that we're going to be in the evening or in the afternoon anyways, and start from there.
And did you mention, Chris, that you mentioned something about Friday night? So do you do door knocking on Saturdays?
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we typically start our list Thursday, Friday evening. Friday evening, we have it mapped out already. We know how many we're going to go to. We know what time we're going to go. So Friday evenings, we have all our information. Saturdays is when we start doing the Saturday mornings, right?
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. Now we do that for Sunday also. If they don't answer Saturday, okay, the houses that didn't answer, then we can hit them up on Sunday as well. Right. So we have to make sure that we go in there with intentions that we are going to speak to somebody. We have to be ready for that conversation. So we do take contracts. We do take all our marketing material, whatever we have, and we're ready to speak to someone. But
and on the weekends is kind of where you tend to do door knocking more.
Yes, typically Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Now, when we first started, we're doing it every single day. But with the experience, you kind of know already from doing it for weeks and months. Okay, well, most people don't answer at this time, right? Don't. I tell people, it depends on you. We're all different, though. If you're door knocking on Monday, people are already angry because it's the Monday, right? Everyone hates Mondays, and you're knocking on my door, you're calling me. So the more the days go by, right? Tuesday, everybody's in a better mood. Wednesday is hump day. Everybody's, good mood. I'm looking forward to Friday. Thursday, everyone's more excited.
It's an early Friday.
Yeah, it's an early Friday. So it really depends. And this is all the psychology that we have to understand about people, right? Understand lifestyles and different ways people live and think. So it definitely helps.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, okay. Here's a good question, and it has to do. Maybe it's a funding question. Also, we can interpret it as a funding question. Sure. The question is, when you first get started, right? Money is tighter because you don't have money coming in from the deals yet.
Yes.
The first couple of deals where we have to invest in the marketing, invest in the time and the efforts. How do you overcome the challenge of not having enough money for your first deal? Especially on the closing side too, right? The funding for the close.
So those are kind of two questions. We'll answer it in two parts.
So I think
for the marketing side.
So determine what you have money for to be able to market appropriately. And then also determine what you're going to do with those deals. Sometimes at first, when you might not have a lot of money, but you need quick cash, you can wholesale a deal. Or you can partner with somebody who does have money and maybe you could do a flip. We like to talk about all of our deals. We sit down before we decide what we're going to do with it and look at our finances. What is it that we need right now? What is it that our family needs? What are we going to do with this? Is this something that we could keep for the future? Is it something that, we have quite a bit of bills to pay this month? We just need to go ahead and sell it or wholesale it or whatever the case may be. So that's
and whenever I guess to back up from there, and if you don't have a lot of funds right now, we have learned that postcards are a lot cheaper. You can send letters, but postage is more expensive, right? Even the 10, 20 cent difference, if you're sending 100, 200, 300, 400 a month, that can get costly. I tell people all the time, you're already driving. Start opening your eyes to properties that, I don't know, maybe have abandoned cars, maybe you see lock boxes on the doors, right? Overgrown grass, stuff like that. Once you start really driving and knocking on doors, you're going to start seeing changes in different properties. Now that's not true for every neighborhood, right? Some of these neighborhoods are still fairly nice, but for those that don't have a ton of money right now, I would say postcards, door knocking, driving for dollars. Those are the easiest ways. Now for money, I always tell people, don't worry about money up front, because if it's a deal, money is there. It's easier, believe it or not, and we had a hard time understanding this up front. It's easier to get the money than it is to find the deal, if that makes sense, right? It really is, because if there's a deal, everybody's going to want to lend to you on that one. And once you close on that deal, let's say you make even just $5,000 on a wholesale fee. Okay, what do I need to pay my rent, my mortgage this month? Okay, a couple of grand, few grand, put that to the side for your bills, and then spend that 10, 15, 20% of that into marketing. You always need money for marketing. That's never going to go away. I don't care who you are, what business you're in. Put monies aside from every deal towards your marketing.
Yeah, I love that. I want to kind of emphasize that marketing is the lifeblood that feeds in your deals pipeline.
Yes.
You always have to invest in it. Even if you don't want to spend a lot of money, then you got to put your time in it, right? So you always got to keep that going no matter what. And having that consistency And we have said it several times now. Maybe part of today's theme, along with everything else, is the consistency. Just like showing up. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe there are ups and downs, and there are 1 or 2 days that you skip. But just kind of like, if the majority of the days you're showing up, and especially when you're just beginning, you don't need to spend a lot of time on this. Maybe just 2 hours or 3 hours a day, right? Just consistently. Maybe sometimes even 1 hour a day, just setting aside 1 hour a day to get yourself into the habit of just doing it and start showing up consistently is the key to kind of start building up a pipeline. And out of a set number of leads, you're going to close one. It's always a numbers game.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are intimidated by the money aspect or whatnot. And we always say, it's best if you find good, solid partners that you can trust, right? Meaning if you have time but no money, right? If you have time and no money, then find someone with money who doesn't have much time, because you guys, one has time, one has money now, right? If you have money and just no time, find someone to partner with who has time, right? We're active real estate investors, and those partnerships can be marketing. Hey, if we get a deal, we'll split it and we'll throw, money into this marketing machine and keep moving forward, right? So I think one of the biggest, what's most intimidating to a lot of people is, well, I don't have money. Well, we don't have money either, right? But there's deals out there, and if you have a good deal, and if you want to know the best way to whether or not you have a good deal, present it to a lender. If they all say no, it's probably not a good deal. And if you move forward on your own, then you can rest assured that you may have issues.
And that was one of the questions I believe just came up. How do you close on the pre-foreclosures? I believe was the question. How do you normally finance the pre-foreclosure lead? Because there's not enough time for conventional loan approved for the property before the auction date. So look for lenders.
Whether it's hard money or private.
Right. So as long as it's a good deal, people are going to want to lend to you. And that's why Chris just said, if you have a deal that you're a little bit iffy about and you're not sure if you should do it, if you present it to somebody, especially a hard money lender, they're going to analyze that deal. And if they lend to you, then you have a really good deal. If it isn't, then they're probably going to tell you, I'm sorry, we can't lend on it. And it's probably a deal you shouldn't be doing, because you don't want to put yourself in a bind. One of Chris's favorite things to do is to talk to everyone. It's funny because you never know who has money. You don't know if your front door neighbor has money. You don't know if your kids' friends' parents have money. They may be wanting to become maybe passive real estate investors. They've thought about it, but never realized how they could do it. And maybe they have their 401ks that they can borrow and borrow against and lend to you. It's about talking to people and finding out, hey, maybe they can become your private lenders. So it's just about talking to people, always questioning, always letting people know what you do. And I mean, we have the best lenders in the world that have became our really good friends. And once you have that trust amongst each other, it's going to be easier and faster for them to say, okay, yeah, here's the money. You have a week to finish. Okay, let me get it for you really quickly. But yeah.
And I think this is one of those topics where you can get deep into, right, of the how to, what not to do. And maybe this is something we can talk about in the future as well, because there's tons of different ways to get money, but you have to find people that you trust and that trust you.
Guys, we have a lot of questions here still, but our time is up. And time always flies fast when you're having a good time.
Yes.
We have a couple of additional maybe follow up here for maybe we'll invite Rachel and Chris back for a class, which is deep diving into the finding deals, right? Door knocking, band designs, or whatever other marketing techniques, right? Talking about the actual logistics of how do we prepare. Let's say I want a door knock tomorrow. What do I need to do? Let's say I want to send out a postcard. I actually need to worry about the copy, right? What message I put on the postcard, and logos and all that. So we want to go over some detailed logistics of what it takes to get you going. And obviously funding is also a big theme here today in terms of our questions. So we'll have Rachel and Chris back. Now, a couple of housekeeping pieces here is, if you are interested in the recording, make sure you are registering on the registration link for this webinar so you can receive a recording. For those of you who want to learn maybe more about real estate investments, Rachel and Chris, they offer coaching. So maybe Rachel and Chris, you can tell us a little bit about how to reach you and your coaching side of your business too.
Sure. We are in the Houston area, but anywhere around Texas, there's, if there's a deal, we're interested. But we provide one-on-one coaching to our students. So what does that mean? That means that we're actually going to break down deals for you and not just give you big picture. We will talk about everything from marketing to sub twos to flips and everything else, right? We want to make sure that as our students, that you are able to do deals for you and your family. We always tell people, hey, we would love to partner with you on all your deals, but there's going to be a time that comes when you say, hey, Chris, Rachel, we want this for ourselves, for our families. That's perfectly fine. That's what we do. It's real one-on-one coaching, weekly meetings. And if we're able to, we'll take you to real, houses to start looking at construction and everything else.
Right. So basically we meet you where you're at in your real estate journey. There's some people that say, I'm not comfortable with door knocking. Can we go door knocking as opposed to having our weekly meeting? Absolutely. We will ask them or walk them through putting a list together and just help them do that. And then we will go to door knocking. And if we get a meeting, we will go to that meeting and we will help them hopefully close on something and help them fill out a contract. I mean, it's the step by step. Sometimes when we first started, we had general ideas of what to do. And I think for the most part, anybody who gets into real estate investing can get a lot of knowledge from the internet and online, but it's just those little details like, okay, what do I do now? Or somebody told me this, how can I respond to them? What do I tell them? That's what we love to do. We like the details and we love the hand holding, because it's hard to go out there and just do it without direction. So we kind of like to give.
You don't want to learn by losing money. That's not real estate, because you're going to be one of those one and done. I lost the deal. Real estate stinks. I hate it. Doesn't work. We don't want that for you.
Yeah, and there are a lot of general advice, and that makes sense until we are actually working on an actual deal.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay, what's the next step? I got here. Now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
What do I do next?
Yeah.
And I think every single deal has that, and especially the first deal, like every single step of the way, like we have all these practical questions of what can we do next, or what do we do in this situation? And so having that support and coaching and help in our community is very important. So thank you, Rachel and Chris, for joining us and sharing your experience with us. We have learned a lot from you.
Thank you so much.
So let's have our next conversation. Also, we'd love to kind of talk a little bit about strategy piece too. So we'll schedule a time with you.
Yes, and if someone would like to, I guess, send us a text or something.
Maybe we can put a link in our maybe with you, and whatever the easiest way it is for them to get a hold of us.
Yeah, what's your phone number?
It's 713-635-9706.
Okay, 713-635-9706.
Yes.
So that's the best way to reach Rachel and Chris. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys joining us.
Okay, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. So we'll stay in touch. Now, guys, we would love to hear back from you how this event goes and get your feedback. So we're going to be sending you a survey on to get your feedback on this event. Just very short questionnaire, and if you fill that out, we'll have a surprise prize for you. And let's see, what other things do I want to tell you? Every Friday we have our map event. So if you are looking for ways to kind of get started, how do I acquire deals? That's also a really good place to get started too. So every Friday at 9:30 a.m. You can join us at our map event. All right, have a good one, everybody. Appreciate y'all. We're gonna leave this streaming going for another maybe 10 minutes or so, just to leave the comments on. So for those who are interested in the links, and until then, we'll have another Deal Winner AMA or our next class, so you can join us. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.